Oh, yeah, back inside the box, about to open it up and find out what's in there. Hey, look, it's Rafe's mustache. Fired up to be back with you here on the Brian Campbell Experience. Welcome to Inside the Box. And boy, do we have a banger of a week. Banger, I just met her. Banger of a weekend to recap. My name is the BC Brian Campbell. That's Rafa Bartholomew of New York fame. And Rafe, they told us Tyson-Paul would be a shit show, but they didn't tell us how much shit we should expect. How you feeling here on this Tuesday morning?
I don't know, Brian. I have a burning sensation.
Oh, wow. Were,
Yeah,
were
yeah.
you in Bangkok over the weekend or what?
I had a fight with I thought it was a Thailand girl, but it might have been Thailand guy. No. I feel just a little reamed. No, I don't feel that reamed, but it sucked. I mean, look, it was it's weird. It could have been grosser, but
Yeah.
it still managed to be very unsatisfying, which we knew it would be, but we still watched because either we're fans of the sport or it's on Netflix because it was easy, or it's kind of easy until the streams. I don't. What is
What a
there to say?
horrible
Look,
night.
it was hard to talk about this thing beforehand. You're asking me what's it going to look like. It's like, I don't know. It's not a real fight, and that's what I mean. That's sort of it wasn't a real
Dude,
fight. What the fuck was it, Brian?
it was pro wrestling. So I don't want to hear another person tell me, what were you expecting from a 58-year-old? I was expecting a boxing match, okay? A gross one, but a boxing match. We didn't get that. We got pro wrestling. And the fact that people can't wake up and realize that Jake admitted I carried him through and his punches didn't hurt me. Mike tweeted after, I almost died a few months ago and needed 6 transfusions and lost 26 pounds. This was Texas Forever Street and everyone on that broadcast, teaming up to fool everybody. And not just the streaming issues. It's not just that. To see people go, to see Helwani afterwards be like, what'd you guys expect, when he's been on every radio show in the past week going, did you see the look in Tyson's eyes when he slapped Jake? Like, get out of here with this BS. Anyway, that's how we open this show. There's a lot of box to get into. I mean, let me ask you a critical question. If you put a Latino Night card in Saudi Arabia on the busiest combat weekend of the year and no one went to it, did that mean that it really happened?
Wow, I didn't know we were going to get Zen with this immediately. I think, yeah, I is the sound of one hand clapping. Did the tree fall in the forest? Zurdo did not go down.
It's not
Zurdo's
Thursday.
pretty good. I look, we will get into this, I'm sure, but in an hour and a half when we're washed and basically, our
Yeah.
eyes are rolling back in the tops of our heads. But hey, cruiserweight is such a great division; it even makes Zurdo cool.
Shout out to this guy CBS, right? What an acronym. I'm just gonna call myself NBC moving forward. Okay, there you go. Rafe, how the hell are you here in Dearborn, Michigan, wherever the hell you are these days?
Well, I'm not quite in Dearborn, but it was I'm still a little bit down, Brian. You talk about Friday night, it was the second most depressing fight I
Whoa.
think I've ever watched, in which a formerly great champion walked into the ring with a knee brace, and then his the legs were not responding for the
I think
rest. I mean,
third. You're forgetting Yuri Foreman versus Miguel Cotto at Yankee Stadium.
No,
Right?
I mean, that's a little too harsh. I mean, I didn't mind seeing Yuri go down like that, but no, I mean, it wasn't. Someone needed to, and maybe your boy Amer Abdullah from Ripper Nutrition fame,
Oh,
who was in the
yes.
corner with Mike Tyson. I wanted someone to campion him a little bit and be like, campion, the leg is not responding. It's not responding.
All right, let's get it out. Let me just put it right out there, because I'm calling it pro wrestling. I'm very upset and offended that this stupid ass fight that we all knew would be stupid. But again, I do have to draw a line of some form of boxing sanctity. Like, I thought it was going to be a real fight for as gross or as long as that real fight. And I didn't think it was great for it to happen, or Tyson's health, or boxing, or anything. And I definitely was not hyped up on nostalgia where I thought Tyson was going to win, but I expected something different. For all of the post-fight TikTok breakdowns of every area where they think it was fixed, like, are you with me? Tell me, are you with me on the idea that this really was a preconceived I won't hurt you. You won't hurt me. We're both going to make a lot. Like, really, the only thing worse that could have happened, obviously, is Tyson getting knocked out cold and having a major medical scare or dying. Short of that, this is the worst way it could have gone, with 65 million households worldwide tuned in, and everybody, including me, having to get an illegal stream in order to do the live blog because the stream was so shit. Separate topic. But back to Tyson-Paul. Tell me that you're with me. This was preconceived pro wrestling shit under the guise of a sanctioned professional bout.
I think that we sort of rambled our way into this inevitability last week when we were trying to talk through how it might play out and thinking, man, if if Tyson gets knocked out, if Tyson gets hurt, that's going to look terrible. Jake Paul probably doesn't want that. Also, Jake Paul probably, because he can't, like, it would be a pretty cool moment if he actually took a dive, and chose to put Mike over. But we know that he's not the type to do. He's not that clever or creative to come up with that kind of twist.
He'll kick out on 3.
We sort of knew which way it was going to go. There was, the more I thought about it, it just felt like, man, you can't let an actual, real, unpredictable fight break out here, because the downside is so risky to people's lives, to their livelihoods, to their reputations going forward. I mean, for Netflix, it's almost like, by the time the actual fight rolled around, I wasn't expecting a real fight, but it still managed to bum me out. It was just gross to sit there and watch it, even for 2-minute rounds and just 8 rounds. It was gross. It sucked. It's even, and I've heard some people give Jake Paul some credit for taking his foot off the gas, right? Which I understand. I don't think I really wanted to see Mike Tyson get hurt, but I didn't feel like he was doing anything to make Mike look good. He just, poor man, had to stand out there like a sitting duck, and you could just see what was happening. And it's just like, this is disgusting. My only thought those last 4.5 rounds is like, why did you ever think this was a good idea? Maybe they didn't. They just knew that people would show up for the beginning, and we all did. So that, like, yes, that part was successful. But as something that would be worth watching or make fans feel like they saw something interesting or cool or exciting, there was no way that could happen almost. And
dude, I get that 50 million people watched Serrano versus Taylor too, and that it was awesome, and I totally want to give them their flowers and talk about that. But I think between the somewhat controversial decision in that fight, then what happened in the main event, then you add in that you can't even tune into the stream, how could it not look bad? Not that we want or need all of these casual fans to care about boxing for more than one event per year or one event every 3 years. I mean, we've seen some of the worst takes come out whenever the casuals come out too. But it's like, how could they not exit Friday night going, man, boxing's way worse than I ever thought it was. What a joke. Because not only did Jake carry the shit out of Mike Tyson for the final 4.5 rounds, but I'm not sure, I don't believe that they didn't have a, forget silent contract, that they didn't have an understanding that Mike also wouldn't go for it, because you can slow down and watch these sequences where I know it's old and he's fatigued and he's hurt and he's barely getting through it, but there's wild openings for right hands and he's like throwing and then pulling back, and you're just like, really, what are we doing here? Because Jake Paul's career and the crossover celebrity boxing bubble that he has kept inflated has always been a tenuous walk, right? It's critically getting ripped. There's always like a corruptive side. People are thinking it's pro wrestling when I don't think it has been until this. But how could this not jump the shark for his brand and make all those real fight fans who have this guilty pleasure and tune in for him go, I don't care anymore. Go fight Andrew Tate or Better Biev or Daniel Dubois or Carl Froch or everybody, Andre Ward, that's throwing themselves at this man after this farce. Like, how could people not be like, F boxing, man? It's full of shit. It's a hood sport. I used to love this sport. Boxing and ethics don't mix. And I thought Netflix cameras were getting in that ass on Tyson. I mean, how do they not exit seeing that man's crack hole and not going, man, I'm done with this sport?
Well, man, but I mean, honestly, Brian, we've, speaking to you as a father of sons and me as a son of fathers, a father, my 2 dads. Yeah, I forgot to tell you, Brian. But yeah, speaking to you as a father of sons, or well, I'm not. You are. It's got to be your bull. But yeah,
Look,
you're a
we're
dad,
good friends.
man.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
I
love your
love. Yeah.
daddy. Now get to the point. Yes.
So what I'm saying here is like, we've seen some really touching sports father-son moments this past year. LeBron James and Bronny. I mean, I know
Oh,
your
yeah.
heart melted, just went crazy. And to see, Amir Tyson having that incredible moment, that interview with his dad where neither said anything in the locker room. And then they say, I love you, Dad. I love you too. And then you walk away and you get to see Mike's ass. I mean, wasn't that on how many on a scale of 1 to 7 Kriegels?
Yes.
How great of that is a father-son moment? I mean, are you like a senior Marinovich, just jerking it to that?
Well, okay. The jerkin part was disgusting. I was about to say it reminds me of the first time I saw my father's ass, but then that never happened. Okay. Okay. Whoa. All right. Clean up on aisle Detroit. Yes.
Oh shit, my
I
screen.
hope you didn't.
Oh man, I'm usually this is usually not the circumstances in which my screen is covered in liquid, but here we are. I've seen it before.
We got liquid crack all over the Marissa Mayer tribute.
It's because I tried to drink water, Brian.
Yeah, well, that's flavored water. That's basically soda in Michigan. All right.
It's not Faygo flavored, at least.
There you go. Like everybody's like, BC, shut the hell up. What'd you expect? I don't get how people don't see the line. There's a line there. There's a line. This one went over the line. So what did I like? I expected a fight.
You heard me last week, Brian. I mean, I think the line was way back. It was a long, like we crossed that line a long time ago in my, for me at least, but it still sucked. I mean, it did not make me feel like I regretted not paying attention to any Jake Paul bullshit over the last several years.
Everything you said last week about Jake Paul, that I was like, oh shit, you might want to finish. That's a little harsh. Turns out you were damn right. So congratulations. Okay, let me clap you back on Thursday.
Oh. Yeah, I don't know, Brian. What are you gonna do? I mean, Jake. Yeah, it was interesting. I mean, look, I'm not a media critic. I don't care that much about the fortunes of Netflix versus Disney Plus
or
streaming
the production era.
All that bullshit.
They never had any microphones at work. Like that was a shit show broadcast. Dude.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it was. I was surprised just because. Netflix is supposed to have the deepest pockets. You sort of, and they do everything else pretty like. Not that they make great original shows or whatever, but like. That they're the OGs of streaming. They've been doing streaming since the beginning, longer than Danny and Angel been doing doping. Yep. And they made and they just completely shat the bed with this production. I mean, of course, the biggest problem were the lags that caused half the audience to either leave. Also, they're putting this number out, 50 million, 60, whatever it is. Like, how many of those TV screens are they counting? All the TV screens that were just frozen for the last 2 hours of the night?
Are we gonna take them at their word, or we have to wait?
No, never take anyone at their word. But you don't have any choice. And if you're if you have to write a story about it, you're going to use whatever number CompuBox give you. But like. Yeah, I mean, just seeing the lags, and then some of the weird. I mean, obviously the decision to just pan onto Mike Tyson's ass, which I mean was hilarious. I was laughing hard, but probably not the most professional look. Cedric the Entertainer made no sense the entire night. No. I mean, I liked the Kings of Comedy. But shit, what
back
in
04?
And yeah, then,
I mean,
speaking of New York icons, all right, we have Mike Tyson in the ring, and I do love Rosie Perez.
Yes.
But In Living Color is my favorite TV show ever. And the Fly Girls. There's so many great things.
The Stookie Brothers. Come on.
We needed one, but like I'll tell you, the New York icon that we needed was the Sandman from the Apollo to come out with his hook and get Rosie the fuck out of there.
Like, oh wow! No. Hey, you're talking bad about my 10,000th Twitter follower.
Yeah, it's the first lady of boxing.
Do you know I was at 999 when we had her on Making the Rounds at ESPN, and Todd Grisham said on the air, "Hey Rosie, you following Brian on Twitter?" And she's like, "I think so." She then hit follow to be my 10,000th. All right, shout out to that.
Thank you. All right, I take it all back. You were great, Rosie.
okay, what did you think about Lennox Lewis on the broadcast when it was obvious that Holyfield's mic didn't work and that his earpiece didn't work and he was washed his shit? That Kate Abdo Scott was like, Evander, Lennox, can you translate for us? And he just kept turning every question into, you think Michael bite him again? I mean, that was great.
I would like to see more television like that. No, I wish they had. And I'm not one of these Church of Larry Merchant boxing fans, who just think that he never could do anything wrong. He clearly never gave Floyd a fair shake, and
HBO should fire him. Yes,
yeah. I'm glad he finished, but we did need. We could have used a moment just to make viewers feel like someone was on their side. Like at the end of that, we needed a Larry Merchant moment where he's like, "And tonight, we gave you junk." Like we needed
Jim Gray. We needed Jim Gray to quit. Well, no, Jim Gray loves
no.
Jim would be like, it's Mike Sass's night. So yeah, please. Man, and we got Helwani. Damn. All right. Let me ask you this. What do you make of? I mean, when Myris Brightus a few years ago, our Latvian hunk, when he sold his soul to make those music videos in which he was calling Jake a ducker and prepare your whores for the battle to come, Aegis. It was bad. But now we have Carl Froch like aggressively attacking Jake's women in tweets. You got Ward saying, I'll do it. You got Dubois in the DMs offering the next shot at the heavyweight championship. We thought this was going to lead to.
I don't know if that's the heavyweight championship.
One of them,
a heavyweight championship.
I mean, we thought if Jake did the deed and knocked out Tyson, that we might get Canelo Jake for whatever that's worth, which is nothing. What do you make of all of these established current and former boxers? Beterbiev, who's in the top 5 of the pound for pound and one of the best ever, that are like, F it. If this MFer wants to, wreck our sport, then let me get the payday and let me send him to hell.
Well, I don't really blame them. It makes sense to me. I think it's stupid, but I don't mind it. I also have I think there's no chance in hell any of that happens. Whoever you think is the oldest and most retired and has the least chance of actually, of embarrassing and destroying and getting Jake to go home. That person, he's not going to take a risk on that person either. He's going to see that level and go about. He's going to find the basement 60 stories beneath that and go for whoever that opponent is.
So he's going to find washed Sergey Zinzaruk and knock him out, right?
Yeah. The Razor.
Did you also see that Gervonta called him out and Jake challenged him to a fight? And then also, Ryan Garcia, who announced Fanmio pay-per-view, right? Who once gave us Floyd Logan and Masvidal versus Diaz, is now doing the Ryan Garcia December 30th exhibition against some Thai fellow, I think, that hurt Manny in their exhibition. What country is this guy from? Japan?
They're in Japan.
So Ryan Garcia will come back and do that, whatever that is or looks like or whatever. But then he says, then I'm moving up and fighting Jake. So you're just basically saying, A, you don't care, but B, you don't really think any of these guys are that Jake will accept against any of these guys, right?
I don't think so. No. Why? Unless because he doesn't need to cash out. He doesn't need to lose to cash out.
Yeah.
Like there's lots of easier money out there than that. And I think that I think that he likes to stroke his own ego, even as ridiculous as it is. Like there's enough people down in the compound in Puerto Rico, wherever he's at, willing to tell him, no, you for real, Jake, you for real.
You talking about Jay Leon? You talking about Jay Leon right now?
Shit, at least he's paying them, but there's probably people who just want to be around the show. No, I don't. Do you think that he's going to take a fight against anyone who's fought in the last 10 years at a decent level?
I don't know, because like the Ward and Froch level would still kick his ass.
Those guys are still in shape. Like if he wants to mess around with that, he needs to call out Prince Nassim or something,
Dude, speaking of should finish, we were in the same DM setup where we saw that picture of Bivol meeting.
Nassim has been that big for years. Come on,
he's
man.
Real big. He's like He's like,
look,
he's
they say even during his championship run, he would blow up a little bit in between.
God, he
You
looks
think
like better Butterbean right now. He looks like, to be fair,
um
right?
yeah, I mean that's who Jake Paul will be calling out. Ricky Hatton, somebody
Dude, I
who's
hope this. I don't wish ill on Jay. I don't know. I just feel
you
like
why not do it? He's rich. You can this is the rule, Brian, in all of life. Until something actually bad happened, unless they die right after you wish them ill. If someone that scummy and that rich, you could wish anything bad on them.
if they don't die. If remember what Tyson said that about Relic, if he doesn't die, it doesn't count. Do you think there'll be any investigations? Because mind you,
No,
this
what?
was the most bet on fight in the history of combat sports. Even though like 5 states were like, we're not touching this. This is pro wrestling. Then it plays out as that. You don't think everyone would just be like, after this week, we never talk about it again. That's what you think.
I don't think they like anyone who bet on this fight. If you bet on anything, like I guess you on some level you expect it to be on the level, but I don't know, man. It's betting, it's gambling.
Wow, what a dichotomy between the co-main event and main event, right? Like it's like arguably like boxing at its best, even though I missed 5 of those 8 rounds or 10 rounds live because of the streaming issues. I just want everybody to know that for Serrano, Taylor too. And then it goes from that into that other thing.
Yeah, well, let me tell you, Brian, it was the rounds that you missed. They were full of great action between Katie Taylor, the finest Irish woman, alas, who won 2 gold medals. Could you believe it? And
No, she won 1.
Oh,
right?
well, I'll give her another because she's so good, Brian. She's that good. A true warrior. And, Amanda, she's a warrior too. I like the way that Katie, I think her technique in the fight was to try and just put her entire head into that hole inside Amanda's eye socket. She was trying to get from one side to the other with her head, not with her paw, not with them paws, but with her head.
They're always after me, Lucky Charms, says Rafe. I think that Jordan Maldonado said it best. Serrano's manager, brother-in-law, trainer, and obnoxious one. That Katie's a nice person, but she has a really big head. All right, let's get into enough of Jake and Tyson. I mean, what a like just a gross stain on a pair of white underwear that won't go away. But that co-main was something. A rematch of the biggest and best fight in women's history. And since you're a women's boxing advocate, I could only talk about this with you. To their credit, dude, they went after it again. And it was a thrilling war. But Serrano, who I thought did not get the benefit of the doubt in the first fight, really didn't this time. She gets cut badly a few times by headbutts by Katie. Katie loses a point for it in round 8, and Serrano lands 107 more punches overall, like 50% of her power shots, and she loses a unanimous but close decision. Now, it's not a robbery. I'm not going that route. In these 2-minute rounds of 10 round setup that is archaic now in women's boxing, but still the regular norm, even though Serrano pushed so hard for both fights to go the 12-round, 3-minute round level to take women's boxing to the next level, Katie has been clinging to the old ways because it fits her style more, in my opinion, because she just spams intelligently, but she spams for 2 minutes a round. Did, in your opinion, Serrano get, at the very least, a raw deal? Not a robbery, not, you know what I mean? Not controversy. Like, it's a close-ass fight, but 20 rounds in against her, I think Serrano's been the better fighter. That's just my opinion. What is yours?
Well, look, I only seen 10 of them rounds. But
how dare you? I mean, seriously.
but for me, look, I don't care, man. Like, I don't think like this was a close ass fight. I guess with that point deduction, which I think was a bullshit deduction, like, yeah, Katie Taylor has a little bit of Timothy Bradley in her, right? I mean, she got a big head and she walks forward with it, especially in clinches, right? So it's a little like her style is conducive to those kind of head clashes. I don't think that she was trying to intentionally headbutt Amanda Serrano throughout that fight. I think. And the moment that the ref chose to deduct the point really made no sense. It's not terrible, like the worst deduction I've ever seen, because she was kind of nuzzling in that eye hole a little bit. But look, I mean, like Katie said, man, it gets a little rough in there. And Amanda's a warrior. I'm sure she prepared for that. But more importantly, I think that like through large portions of that fight, Katie Taylor outboxed Amanda Serrano too. Like she's walking her into shots, and her combinations looked great. And it was, and look, Amanda Serrano also hurt her several times, hurt Katie Taylor several times. It was a great fight. The action was so fast paced.
It was insane.
It was crazy. They both shook each other up. I just, the idea that it's some kind of injustice. I mean, look, this is where, I mean, they had to get Rosie Perez out of there for that. Cause like fine, you want, Boricua, like, Puerto Rican pride, but like she sounded ridiculous in there. And Moro, I don't know if he thought, he was gonna somehow take her home that night or something, but just going.
How dare you?
Well, why was he agreeing with that nonsense?
How dare you? Reggie Jackson is not going to stand for that. Right. Okay, I want you to know that.
All right, what's up? Your month's over, Mr. October. Get the fuck off my screen. See, there he goes. There he goes.
I haven't seen you talk that mean to pussy since we talked about women's boxing that time.
Oh yeah, well, you see me talking to the lady promoters, and then I shut it down quick.
I mean, you could have took over that promotion. People don't realize. All right, back to this fight. Okay, if it's not a robbery, and if you're not willing to go,
are you calling it an effective robbery?
It's an effective robbery, and it's not. It's just bad luck, or Taylor knows how to win this.
Why would they favor Katie Taylor on Jake Paul's promotional card in Texas? It's not like there was a bunch of Irish women down there, whooping it up in the crowd. This wasn't like a Matchroom show or whoever is promoting Katie Taylor these days.
So you would think Taylor was up against not just Serrano, but the venue, the promoter, the referee, everything?
No, look, I'm kind of surprised she won too, but I just don't think, I don't see how do you put like, I'm down for a conspiracy theory in boxing, but I don't see how the pieces fit together for this one.
Well, that's why I'm saying it's more bad luck for Serrano. So the question I want to ask you is, even though Serrano is 0 for 2 against her, these are two of the 4 best, these are the 2 Mount Rushmore in women's boxing history. These are 2 all-time greats.
Where would you put Michaela Mayer and Sandy Ryan?
Let me call Kriegel about that, and then ask about everyone's father.
Right above Marco Antonio Barrera.
But I'll say this, like, both fights were blockbuster. Both fights were insane, like legit fight of the year contenders. Why don't we do a third one, A? And B, if Serrano doesn't deserve the benefit of the doubt or a nod or one of the scorecards or something, then should she deserve a chance to fight how women's boxing should be fighting with the 12 rounds, 3-minute rounds, because she's the smaller fighter, yet the bigger puncher. And I think there was parts in both the first and second fight that if you had 3-minute rounds, Taylor might get dropped or stopped. Like, these were wild fights. Do you think we'll get a trilogy? Does Serrano deserve it? And that's a bite. That's assault, brother. And and should we change the format here after Taylor proved she can win twice in this format?
It certainly will be worth a trilogy. It seems like that even though Taylor, there are draws in boxing, but more often than not, someone has to win. But I think anyone, certainly, look, I didn't watch the first fight, but if I did, I'm sure I would agree with those of you who bothered to, like I do about this one, where neither fighter really separated themselves that much. They were great. The second one was a great fight. I would be happy to see it again. And yes, Amanda Serrano on some level deserves that chance. So with changing the rules, how does that, what happens with the sanctioning bodies of that? Like, it's easy to say that. How hard is it to actually do that? Does it then become
that hard?
Really? How many does Amanda Serrano usually fight 3-minute rounds and 12 rounds?
She has, and she wants to, but boxing is still so slow to adjust to that. It's so weird.
So
like,
when
women's boxing's in a renaissance
were they sanctioned championship bouts? Who signed off on those fights? I mean, I signed off on it, but I'm not in charge of shit.
I called one of Serrano's title defenses at featherweight against Daniela Bermudez in Puerto Rico for Ring City, and that was the 12-round 3-minute format, I believe. I know she's done it before, but I think you got to do that. Or even if you don't change the rules, you got to do a trilogy. Dude, I feel bad for Serrano. I do. Close
Yeah, look,
fights.
I feel
I
bad
thought
for
she
her
was the bigger
because
puncher.
I don't know if she's ever going to be able to close her eye again. Like this is the other thing. I know. Look, incredible performance by her to fight as well as she did after getting just a brutal cut on her eyelid. Brutal. And you're gonna laugh at me and call me a pussy, but they should have stopped that fight. They should have gone to the cards in round 6 when the second butt happened and ripped that shit open, and you could see the fat popping out of her, like that was too deep. They're gonna report however many thousands of stitches they had to put in there to close up every layer of fascia in her eyelid. She's that. That's injury for life risk. It ain't worth it. They should. And I hopefully it doesn't. Hopefully she avoided that fate. It would, but it was brutal, man. And of course it's Texas, so the ring doctor is looks at it for 3 seconds and is like, "Are you good?" And she's like, "Yeah." And that was it. That was all we got for this. I mean, it was like Sebastian Lujan having Antonio Margarito punch his ear off in that fight. Gross. I mean, the shit was just hanging there.
And she kept butting it again. So, I was going somewhere with this. I know I was. Oh, yeah. Let me tell you like this. So Katie Taylor's great. There are certain people, Helwani, who, try to make it seem like she's the greatest women's fighter of all time. I don't know how you say that, but personally, even though people don't love Clarissa Shields sometimes as a person, when Shields won 2 gold medals, titles in 5 divisions, undisputed in 2 divisions like Katie, and has, largely dominated her toughest competition. But Katie's getting a Canelo reputation, in my opinion, / benefit of the doubt in close fights.
Complete heel overrated POS is what you're saying.
Well, I was ringside for a great Katie Taylor fight, the first one against Delphine Persoon, that Belgian cop who squared up and was like, "I'm not going to block any shots, and I'm just going to keep punching no matter what." And I thought Katie lost that fight too. And even that rematch with Chantel Cameron, where to her credit, she dug deep and, won the undisputed championship at 140. I thought she kind of got the benefit of the doubt at home. Am I creating a narrative here that is sour grapes and is not fair? Or is it more of her style with the 2-minute rounds that it's so tough to judge, but they prefer her activity in the end? Is there validity in your eyes to the idea that she does get preferential star treatment when it comes to the scorecards, or should I shut the hell up and get ready for the trilogy?
No, I mean, look, she, for whatever reason, she has, it seems like she has a lot of close fights on her record that the people who, cared enough to watch them, who weren't me, think that she might have had a case for losing or had a good case for losing, which is a lot like Canelo. There are a lot of fights like that. Basically you start every fight up 4 rounds on the cards for no reason. Maybe that I don't understand. Well, yeah. I don't know why I don't know why Katie Taylor would get that benefit of the doubt in this particular fight, but in those ones in New York, in the Garden, against, a random Belgian cop, that does not surprise. Oh, shoot. The judges weren't looking out for, Delphine Persoon. I mean, yeah, that I don't consider that a shocker. It's women's boxing, man.
Okay, well then let me entice you, Silk the Shocker. Michaela Mayer came out on Twitter and said, "Hey, if they're not going to do a third fight, I'll cut back down to 40 and we can go Michaela Mayer versus Katie Taylor." Are you in on that, given the shrine you once had behind your head to that great fighter?
Well, look, I mean, Katie, you better watch out if you want that smoke. You're not just getting that from Michaela Mayer, all right? So I will show up in your town, and there will be a can of paint. All right, I will wait until you're butt ass naked in the locker room. Pop out the locker.
All right.
Yeah.
Wow.
I've painted some women in my day, Brian.
Yeah, I know you're taking bus trips to Connecticut private schools to find out how to be a man, and I appreciate that back in the day. Wow, what I mean, is it okay for everything I said about the main event sucking and it makes boxing look bad? How great do you think the co-main event made boxing look in the eyes of 50 million casual households that tuned in?
I don't know. I don't
I
think
don't
they
care.
cared. The casual households, boxing need I don't it's very tricky to put on to put on televised boxing, but in this era, don't you get the sense that maybe they want to cut down the cards for the televised portion, or at least the thing that they're gonna tell make it 1 or 2 fights at the top of the card,
Yes.
because all the casuals tune in and what am I watching? Who are these people?
Why is
And
this Indian man humping this Brazilian man and it looks like Broner versus Maidana? Yeah.
So I honestly don't think that that casual viewers cared, and I don't think they need to. I don't care if they cared either.
I don't care about their
I didn't
lives.
care
I don't
that
care
much.
about their
I didn't care
families.
that much myself. It was a good fight. There's a
All
good
right.
fight on every weekend.
Take me down to this other good fight that wasn't really supposed to be a good fight, to be fair. Mario Barrios
Well,
defends
it's
his
because Mario
WBC.
Barrios is supposed to be a good boxer, but
I mean, look, his reunion with Bob Santos, his original trainer, had brought out a new side of him the last few fights. He beat Ugas. He he got upgraded to full champion when Terrence Crawford left the division. Even though you had Manny Pacquiao at like 46 calling him out, thinking it could be an easier path to the title, when they signed him up to fight Abel Ramos, the 33-year-old uncle of Jesus, who's, a journeyman, we expected Barrios would wash him. And for the majority of the first half and 2/3 of this fight, it did. And then Ramos lands one big right hand, drops Barrios. And dude, it turned into like a blood and guts war down the stretch. I'm sure it was good to hold the viewership that were there ready to see Tyson-Paul and that great co-main and get them excited. But I exit this going, damn, Ramos has balls. I'm happy for him that he pulls off a draw, but there's a step back for Mario Barrios in a big way, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, he didn't have many steps to take back, in my opinion.
Oh God.
He's he's been well promoted. Talk about a guy who might not have deserved to beat Batir Akhmedov. He been doing that since the beginning, and poor Akhmedov got reamed again on Latino Night. But that's sort of his job at this point. It's like to lose close fights that he probably should have won. But I don't know. Barrios is holding on to that belt for someone else, and I hope that he enjoys it while it lasts. Like, who cares?
Maybe Boots.
Yeah, if they get that, look, I'm pretty confident that Boots would win that fight if it happened.
All right, interesting. And then they opened the broadcast with a Brazilian influencer with 22 million followers against an Indian guy with a lot of followers. And I'm told that Brazil and India are the number 2 and 3 markets that Netflix, after the US, that they have success in terms of subscription. So maybe that made a lot of sense, but yeah, I don't want to talk about that. Hey, Bruce Shushu Carrington won on the undercard. Shout out to him. All right. That's that. That's it. We should finish on that topic. We should definitely finish. What are your expectations, by the way, of Rye Guy finally coming back after the Haney win / no contest / suspension? Now his suspension's not up until April. He says he has big plans to come back, but he also says he wants Jake Paul. Will you watch December 30th on FanMio pay-per-view as he boxes some Japanese guy in an exhibition with 2-minute rounds?
No chance. I mean, well, no, I might have to talk to you about it. So yes, I probably will watch all of it. But I don't care, man. Ryan Garcia, is a few steps away from Jake Paul in the unserious human being spectrum. Now he is a serious boxer because he's very talented, and he's been fighting since he was a kid. He knows what he's doing in the ring, but he doesn't take it doesn't seem to look. I hope that I don't know if I even hope that he does well in life, but I don't want to say anything too harsh. But I don't care that he's doing an exhibition in Japan. I kind of hope that the New York Commission, or the ABC, the American Boxing Commission Association of Boxing Commissions. I think that if I were them, I'd be looking at this like, whoa, you're trying to circumvent our suspension that you got for cheating, for using performance enhancing drugs when for in a championship fight. And I would extend the suspension. I'd be like, okay, take the fight, make your money,
Yeah,
come
they
back
don't
in
care
6
in
more months.
boxing.
They don't care.
And you think I should care about knowing the opponent's name when the clip going around Twitter is Ryan Garcia in the ring after that kickboxer beat Manny Pacquiao, and he's in a trench coat, and he's like, "Congratulations, I don't know your name. What's your name?" And then he basically built up that he was
you
going
think
to
he
fight him.
even knows where he is? Like, do you
No.
do you think he knows what country he's at? Like how his eyes, like, it ain't clear, man. I don't know. Look,
I wish we were podcasting back in April when this fight happened,
no, you
because
don't.
that Garcia Haney build was something we've never seen. Quickly before we get into Latino Night, February 1st, PBC needs to make some big moves. And look, this is a big move. Here we go. T-Mobile Arena in Vegas, PBC on Prime pay-per-view. It's David Morrell versus David Benavidez, unbeaten light heavyweights looking to become, I guess, the number one contender to fight the winner if Better BF Bivol 2 happens. And the co-main, Stephen Fulton Jr. versus Brandon Figueroa at 126 in a rematch of their fight of the year from a few years back. Then you get Pitbull Cruz coming back against Tijuana's Angel Fierro, who is a brawler and makes fun fights. And then you get Jesus Ramos Jr. against the dried husk of 29-year-old former Unified 154 champion Jason Banana Rosario.
Oh, that guy.
Yeah, who took I was
Yeah,
told on
J Rock.
ProBox he beat the husk of Jared Hurd. Dude, I'm kind of in. Like, the one thing about PBC, they're not always there when you call. They're rarely on time, but their pay-per-view cards have been pretty decent. Are you as fired up as I am to see them show a pulse here and put together a good-ass card February 1st?
I think it's a great main event. Just it's a chance for Benavidez. I mean, Benavidez has already gotten, plenty, a number of big names on his resume and looked good against, of course, Boo Boo and Caleb Plant. And so he's a little further down that road than David Morrell, but it's an opportunity for Morrell to show that he's on that level, or what level he is on. And I just love that they're not waiting for Canelo. They're not in the stalling. They're not in the 3-year stall that we saw Caleb Plant do. I'm glad they learned from that bullshit and said, I don't want that to be me. And we saw all those bums at 168 do it. Billy Joe, they all avoided any real fights until they got cashed out versus Canelo. Where the business worked out the way the businesses work out. But I'm glad that these guys are giving us a fight that we want and is going to mean something for the sport. And and whether it puts them in line for one of the belt, whoever has belts at the end, if we get to see a Better BF and Bivol rematch, or if it finally gets Canelo to say, okay, I'll do it. Whatever, it will lead. Whoever wins, it will lead to great things for that fighter.
Yeah,
and if it's a great fight, both of them will come out well.
I love it when you have two guys that are being avoided by someone bigger, but they're under the same promotional banner, and they go, "Why don't we just fight each other?" Brilliant. Let's do that.
We don't need his ass now. I don't care about this undercard. It's all right.
Not even the co-main, dude. Are you kidding? Did you watch?
Did you see Stephen Fulton's last fight on whatever undercard?
Yeah, he had to fight his balls
this
off.
is gonna be. I mean, look, I will enjoy it as washed on washed violence.
They're not. What, these two gentlemen are not washed.
Okay. Not quite at the top of their. I think they're closer. We don't have definitive proof, but I think they're on the slide, my friend. And
Figueroa's looked good lately. Fulton is in a new division. They got hit. I don't know. I'm into this. I will agree that
Fulton had to dig and scratch and beg to survive that fight with whoever that guy was.
Is that Carlos Castro?
Yes.
Who can fight? Although Figueroa owned Carlos Castro when they fought. So that is interesting. And then obviously, sorry, Red, do you want to get out here? Go ahead. And then Fulton obviously got washed by Inoue in their big super fight in 23. He needs momentum.
His whole soul, Brian. He might.
Yeah, he does need
his whole soul.
He needs some new momentum. He's going to have to earn it here. Dude, I can't believe we've gone this far into the show, this far into you making a comeback in boxing without me bringing up the massive, massive elephant in the room involving all the topics we've talked about so far. Are you ready for it? I don't know if you know this, but Mario Barrios is a new father. And he's a new father.
Oh yeah, I think I heard this.
With sister. By the way, I say that because I grew up across the street from a Portuguese barber. The guy was the best, Joe's barbershop. And I have a sister who's a couple years older than me. And every time I'd come into his barbershop, he'd go,
is he now your brother-in-law or
no, no, we never got that far. He'd always go, how's sister? Like right in my face, real gross.
Do you have
Barrios,
any pictures of Campbell's sister? Can we
no,
see?
I don't. I don't. She's 2.5 years older than me.
Prime. All right. Well,
Let her
prime.
let her age gracefully. What I'm saying is,
Were there any magazines I can look up and buy?
okay, this has gone too far. Is this revenge for telling you don't have a New York accent? I mean, come on, you got a New York mustache.
You brought it up.
Barrios has slipped one by the 5-hole, if you will, of Omaira Figueroa, the strength and conditioning coach and sister of Brandon and Omar Jr. Your thoughts?
That's a great looking family, and I wish them the best. I don't know. I mean, look, man, on a microphone, I don't need to talk about like someone else's relationship. I don't know either of these people. I'm not going to meet them. It's not good I don't like to sweat anyone,
You
let
say
alone.
we should save this for the Patreon afterwards on onlypipes.com or what?
I mean, save it for the DMs, man. If you want, I will acknowledge that. Of course, we've all noticed. And that's great.
All right, we'll move on from there. Thank you very much.
Did you have any horny things to say?
No, I don't. This man respects
because it sounded like you wanted me to say some horny things.
He respects women. He just doesn't respect women's box. So there you go. All right. Let's get into Latino Night. It was Saturday afternoon in Riyadh. They don't draw a crowd anymore in Riyadh. So before we get into the fights, and it was a deep and pretty good fight card for Oscar De La Hoya and Golden Boy Promotions. And Oscar was dressed like a mariachi, but there was like 8 people in the building. Do you think that Turkey is going to need potentially Dana White and the services that he brings into boxing, or we're going to keep having these cards that no one shows up for and no one really cares about?
What exactly, assuming the fights continue taking place in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, what exactly is Dana White or anyone going to do to fill out?
I look at it as
promotion?
If this partnership happens between Turkey and Dana on Saturday after the UFC 309 card was asked about it and said basically like, wait till February, there's going to be a big announcement. So people don't know if that's a Turkey power power move or what. But if it was, you would think that Turkey brings the money and then Dana and UFC and Zuffa Boxing, whatever they want to call themselves, would bring the PR, the execution on fight night, the broadcasting, the help with the matchmaking, the promotion of it, like everything like that. I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there because it was sad to see.
DAZN needs a boxing guy. DAZN needs a DAZN. Everything would be great with DAZN if they had a boxing guy.
I don't want it on DAZN, to tell you the truth.
It reminds me of that argument. No, I mean, look, if they're bringing the fights to a place that where people don't want to see them, and also it's not like, look, I loved Latino Night as a card. I liked it going in. I think I liked it more having watched it. Like they were dope fights start to finish. But like this, it's not like I looked at that and thought, oh wow, that would be that's like a cosmopolitan card at Las Vegas, like an excellent one, but it's not. This is not like some huge marquee event for the sport. It's a really stacked, excellent Saturday night Golden Boy card.
Saturday afternoon.
Whatever. Saturday, whatever, whenever you decided to watch it, it was a good ass Golden Boy card. I don't know what to say other than that in terms of like how popular it should be. And no, I don't think that Dana White can fix that with the snap of his fingers. That'd be like fixing all of boxing. You can't do it. I think that if they want to keep throwing money out there, make giant fights and put them in the States or put them in the UK or put them in places that have, big boxing audiences where people will travel to,
or Hispanic fans. Find a place with Hispanic fans that isn't in the middle.
I mean, yeah, especially if it's Latino Night, you might want to be a little bit closer to the Americas. But it just, yeah, I don't, and that's not what they're promising with Riyadh season. They're not promising great live audiences. They're promising enough money to get guys in the ring and make excellent fights, and they've mostly delivered on that. I ain't mad at them.
Well, I'm not mad at this card. The main event was your boy El Zurdo, Gilberto Ramirez, in a cruiserweight title unification fight against CBS, Chris Billum Smith of the UK and Rafe. It was all action pretty much all the time as CBS came out in round one, gunning with power shots. But I got to give credit to Zurdo at 47-1. He took them. He landed the better shots throughout. He goes on his way to take a unanimous decision victory. Now we got talks not only of Zurdo maybe going to heavyweight one day, but going for a big money fight against Jai Opetaia. The scores went down 116-112 on two of them, 116-113 on the third. Billum Smith was cut over the left eye, but never stopped trying to win. What can you say about these two cruisers? They kind of sold out for us.
I mean, this is we've been saying this about the cruiserweight division for a very long time, for years upon years. All right, we love it when we're cruising together. All right, and this I mean, is there any for me? Is there any greater validation, any greater statement of how special the cruiserweight division is that it made Zurdo Ramirez, a fighter who I was not interested in at all during his run at 168 when they were trying to pump him up as a prospect. And all of a sudden he's in these cruiserweight matches and he looks excellent for a 200-pounder and or weight category 200, as some say. And the fight was fun as hell, and I wonder if, because it's sort of like, these when a basketball player gets a late growth spurt in high school or the first year of college, all of a sudden it's like Zurdo shows up at 200 pounds and even though he's a little fleshier than he looked when he's cutting down to 168 and 175, he still has the moves of a lighter fighter. And man, and he can throw with volume, and the motor he brings to that division, it was a lot of fun. And the fact that he also allows himself to get hit so goddamn much. I mean, that is going, like you're saying, he might he's on the way to heavyweight. Well, if he will be stopping by in hell if he allows Opetaia to connect with him like that. But I still want to see it. I still think that he will get, he will fight back against Opetaia and land punches that we see, a lot of the other than Briedis, who's had two excellent fights with Opetaia, the cruiserweights, they've been lining up for him haven't been great tests, and they mostly just cover up and try and survive until he breaks them down. I would love to see Zurdo fight him. And I think I don't think he would win, but I think it'll be a very worthy fight.
Now he didn't fight like the man I'm comparing him to here, Zurdo, but with the long hair and the added weight, he kind of looked like Wash Chavez Jr. in there at times, didn't he?
I mean, which version of Wash? There's so many Wash Chavez Jr.
Not prime pink underwear version. Yeah. I was thinking you and I have been, tell me if you were here with me or if I made this up. You and I were ringside for one Zurdo fight. I believe it was November 20th, 2015 at the Cosmo in Las Vegas when he fought 23-1 Gevorg Kachikan.
Definitely not that one.
And won a wide decision on all three judges' scorecards despite taking punishment. You weren't with me? I think were you? That was Cotto Canelo weekend.
Oh, was that the Cosmo?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I was at that. That was who we fought then?
Yeah, I was trying. I couldn't think of it.
Yeah, there's pictures of us. There's pictures of us there.
There's a lot of pictures.
Yes, that's when you got to meet Rocky Juarez for the first time. I mean, it was a special.
I can't be owned. I mean, would you? Okay, to be fair, do you think Rocky Juarez deserves the Campeon treatment I gave him? Because I've given that previously to like Eric Morales, Casamayor, just
you tried to give it to Darren Barker.
Tried for Darren Barker. Does that man, who was a great amateur U.S. Olympian, never got over the hump as a pro, but did he deserve that?
Yeah, I think look, every fighter deserves it. Every human being deserves to be campioned like that sometime. You can campion with the best of them, man. When you run up on someone, you start doing the Ron Stander shadow box and telling them, thing like moments from their career that they probably forgot ever happened. You're like, yeah, I did do that. I am great. I think that's magic, Brian. I would love for you. Of course he deserves that.
I tried to campion Matisse that one time when you and I were walking at the MGM Grand. Do you remember that?
The El Machina did not. He was pretty. He played true to form, right? Very, very, very stoic.
Yeah, Machina. Okay, back to Zurdo. Dude, he looked good overall, and his chin is held up great here. Can he be a player against Jai Opetaia and try to become the class of the cruiserweight division, in your opinion?
I just said I don't think so, but I think that it's certainly worth trying, and I think that he would be the best opponent we've seen against Opetaia
Yeah.
since Briedis, and those were very close. It's not like Opetaia, dominated that older version of Briedis to the point where it's like, oh, no one in this division can touch him. So I think, and I think that Zurdo, with his volume, his speed, the amount, the combinations he throws, his footwork, he's a well-schooled fighter. I think that he would be dangerous in there for as long as it lasts. I think it'd be basically a great fight as long as it lasts. I worry that just how clean, Chris Billum-Smith was landing on Zurdo at times, and just against Opetaia, who really seems like an explosive, dangerous puncher. I don't know if Zurdo, who, look, you never seen him very hurt, right? I mean, he did get hurt kind of bad by a body shot against Billum-Smith. But he clearly does have a good beard, but it's like, he could get himself into trouble trusting his chin too much against Opetaia, who might just be another level of puncher. And how tested is, I mean, Zurdo has now fought twice at cruiserweight, right? Gulamarian and Chris Billum-Smith.
Yeah.
So that's, you might want to taste a few more shots before you let
pies.
Yeah, eat a few more of those pies before you just say, okay, Opetaia, I could take your best shot. It might not work for him. But
I don't think Zurdo can win a heavyweight title, but it would be fun if he went up there and tried something. I wouldn't want him to stop at bridgerweight. Please don't do that.
No,
okay?
that division doesn't even exist. All right,
No, it doesn't.
It's not real.
Let's look at the rest of this card, because it was
Zurdo. Wait, I got some Zurdo. I got more Zurdo thoughts, man. So
yeah.
I think, like, did you see? He's almost the beautiful the straight left. He when he would pivot, it looks like bootleg Manny Pacquiao, the way that when he would drop step to the side, dip, and throw out.
It was a nice wrinkle, yeah.
Woo! I mean, and he couldn't miss with it for portions of that fight. Anyway,
he put his hand upon his hip.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
like it was Jinky.
Yeah. Wow. Oh, yeah. Jinky doesn't fall under the same hashtag risk it all of Rachel Donaire. Okay, sorry, that's for the after show. Let's go on down this card, Rafa. How about this? We thought Jose Ramirez versus Arnold Barboza Jr. Barboza coming in at 30-0, Ramirez at 29-1, even though I told you he's on the other side of it. It turned out to be instead competitive, but something completely different, where Barboza really showed his boxing acumen and poise. He takes home a decision win, 96-94 on 2 scorecards, 97-93 on the third. He improves to 31-0. And I got to tell you, Barboza's a badass, and he always dreamt of fighting Ramirez. It was a fight he coveted forever. He went in there, became the counter puncher, really used that speed advantage to try to counter everything Ramirez was doing. And I think we're starting to see, a second half, more diminished Jose Ramirez, who doesn't have the same motor he once had, even though the intentions are pure, and he's still going to be a aggressive fighter with good technique, doesn't have the power to be a brawler per se. But dude, the way Barboza was calm and poised and focused on winning that fight above all else, that's the maturity you need to see from him. It just was unexpected from me.
Yeah, no, he really, he really executed a wonderful fight plan in that, the way that, I mean, he was moving, but always countering. And basically anytime, he would catch, he would catch Ramirez coming in or trying to get, trying to close the distance with just a quick, 2-1, a jab, just those counters were enough to make him reset. And he could, and Ramirez, to whatever extent he can get the old motor running, like it's like we're in the Save Mart Center in Fresno on like a snowy California day,
like June, by the way. That was
January, man.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
But yeah, unless to whatever extent Ramirez still has that in him, he didn't even get a chance to start the engine up because he had to reset so often. It was an impressive performance, not like a super exciting fight, but it was I mean, Barboza, he keeps winning. He's a good fighter, and it's sad to see these guys who have been on a level worth taking, getting a title shot for several years. And they never get it just because the timing doesn't work out. I guess we had COVID in there. That didn't help.
That's true.
There's a lot of fighters who are sort of right on the cusp, and you don't know when they're actually going to get that shot. What did you think about his decision to not pay the WBO for the sanctioning fee? I like how he addressed it in the post-fight interview too.
Yeah, I support that. I support that all the way, by the way. And that is my only hope regarding Turkey and Ring Magazine and the inevitable conflict of interest that's going to come from that. If they can declare like one champion per division and say, F these alphabets, I'm in it. But dude, the last 10 fights for Jose Ramirez, of which he has now gone 8-2, I want to read you the names. There are no softballs in there. This is reminiscent of that Carl Frotz stretch where the only softball he had was Yusuf Mack, surprisingly, during that. I'm sure that was a hard ball, too. 2 hard balls, maybe. Barboza Jr. at 30-0. The fight before he beats Rafe Bartholomew, came in, was still a good record. Richard Comey, Jose Pedraza, Josh Taylor, Victor Postal, Maurice Hooker, Jose Sean Zepeda on February 2nd, 2019, when you and I survived that I-5 snowstorm. 27-0 Antonio Orozco before that, and 21-1 Amir Imam, who people forget for a time was a legitimate 140-pound contender. He's not the same fighter anymore, but dude, he's gone through like nothing but killers lately. I have nothing but respect from his community work to his honest style of what Jose Ramirez brings to the table. He's just no longer elite, in my opinion.
That's what it looks like, which is, which is too bad because I really, really liked him, during that run right after he beat Maurice Hooker. I mean, he like you said, he was facing really strong opposition every time. And there was a run of fights, I think starting with that Amir Imam fight where I going in, I was like, I don't think Ramirez is quite good enough. This guy, his opponent seems to be more talented. And then he would go in and just, gut out a victory and outfight them. It's a mixture of pressure and balls and rising to the moment and it's like smart pressure. Like I really became a big fan of his. And, I think, yeah, it looks like the thrill is gone. I wonder if after the Josh Taylor fight, he just sort of, he didn't want to rebuild after that. The hunger may have left. Hey, I shouldn't get in his head. I have no clue. Maybe nothing has changed, and his body just isn't where it used to be. But guy was a tough out, and honestly, we mentioned this last week. Josh Taylor kind of had to get a little sneaky dirty to put the separation in that fight where he, like that, the shot that changed that fight, that little short hook was on a break where, Ramirez should have protected himself at all times, but there was the ref was coming in and giving verbal commands. And it seemed like, Ramirez was not expecting what he got while they broke.
Do you remember we watched the Ramirez Orozco fight September 14th, 2018 from the from the Mandalay Bay Sportsbook during Canelo Triple G2 weekend?
Yes. Oh, that fight was fun.
Yeah, it was indeed.
Yeah. I remember getting pretty hype in that sports book.
That's still one of my favorite sports books.
Frank the Tank.
Yeah, indeed. All right, let's go down the card. I didn't watch this one. I didn't have time in the end, but it was for the unified minimum weight world championship as 10-0 Oscar Collazo, however you want to say it, went in there against 25-0 Thamanon Nyamtrong, who we know much better as knockout CP Freshmart, who turns out is the same knockout CP Freshmart that we used to talk about a decade ago, but it goes down ultimately as a TKO in the 7th round for Collazo. Did you learn something from this?
Collazo was good. I mean, I had not seen him fight before. I mean, he's 24 years old. Was that his only 13th fight or 9th fight? I mean,
that was his 11th pro fight. Yeah.
There you go. And
he was years old. He was El Pupilo.
All right. He was in control pretty much the entire way. Long, like clear reach advantage, quicker outmoving Fresh Mart. He just and then clearly showed he has some power too, because when he caught it with a true, like, I mean, Darren Barker's there helping call the fight, and it was a peach of a right hook that started the end for Fresh Mart, and then followed up in the next round with a couple. I mean, the uppercut that ended the fight. I mean, it was a nice performance. The guy is someone to watch. I don't know how. I don't have my hand on the Cliff rolled Rolodex of
minimum weight fighters,
5'1" fighters, but I would expect him to be a serious champion at that weight, and maybe, I don't know, 108 someday, whatever.
Speaking of Darren Barker, DAZN does regularly what I hate, which is the 4-man announce booth, which to me makes zero sense.
They're kind of good at it.
But when they add Barker to the pre-established trio of Todd Grisham, Chris Mannix, and Sergio Mora, it didn't suck. I like that team together.
They have good chemistry. I mean, Darren Barker, in the second round of the Ramirez fight, all of a sudden starts singing that I would walk 5,000 miles. I mean, yes. They have some memorable moments together.
Also, life is a highway, and I want to ride it all night long. Indeed, from Tom Cochran. I think the biggest development on this undercard, though, of what we came in here to learn something, was now 32-0 William Zepeda, who is being set up and groomed once Shakur Stevenson comes back from injury for a Golden Boy versus Matchroom Turkey Al Sheikh super special that we're all super into. But the 34-year-old, not yet fully dried, washed husk of Tevin Farmer, to his credit, he may be looking at two directions at once, Rafe, but to his credit, he came in there, threw the bigger shots throughout, counter-punching from the pocket, knocked Zepeda down in round 4 with a perfectly timed catch-and-shoot counter, and would go on to lose a split decision, 95-94 on 2 cards for Zepeda, 95-94 on the 3rd card for Tevin Farmer. So I got to be real with you here. It was a tougher performance from Farmer than really he had any business giving, or that we expected of him. Did he not expose, but humanize the pressure, power, fun Mexican style of William Zepeda?
Sure. I mean, look, the way that he was dialing in those counter left hands, the way that, including the one that knocked Zepeda down in the 4th round, he was able to land pretty easily, and had some moments even late in the fight where he's throwing great combinations and looking like, he was getting to Zepeda a little bit. But that's the thing, like, to me, it was just a great throwback performance from Tevin Farmer to fight that well in a loss, which as well as he fought, he still seemed to clearly lose, because it's got to be so hard to win rounds against Zepeda, because he's just going to outwork you over and over again. And yes, he leaves himself open at times, or he can be hit in between those shots, and slicker boxers are going to be able to to get off some land clean punches on him. But you better make him count. You better hurt him enough to slow him down, because he didn't, even getting knocked down, even getting, shaken up a couple times, he would, sort of just bite down and be back in 10 seconds. And eventually it didn't break Tevin Farmer down. It didn't sort of break his will or anything, but he got the better of it. And there were those long stretches where Tevin Farmer's, trying to smother Zepeda, and Zepeda just will not let it happen. He's good inside, and Farmer couldn't slow down his work rate like that. I thought, even though you saw the flaws in Zepeda, I thought that he was pretty impressive to fight, to still, I think, deserve that win against Farmer, having some, being able to outbox him at times, landing, clean, good shots, and being much more of, a strong, dangerous opponent, a live opponent, than I think people expected when they thought, man, when's the last time I saw Tevin Farmer fight? Like, is he still around? So it wasn't that he didn't just, Tevin Farmer just wasn't coming out of nowhere for a paycheck. He came to win. He almost did.
Dude, he looked very good. He looked great, confident, powerful.
Yes. he deserves more fights at that weight. Like you know, get him. He was good, man. He was very, very good. What do you think about? I mean, I've heard some commentary because you know we saw Zepeda go down, show some weakness. Some commentary saying that they shouldn't rush into a fight against Shakur Stevenson because you know he's not ready. He's not ready for Shakur.
Well, here's the deal. Zepeda's really good. He's really fun. He's not a bum. He's not a joke. He's not false advertising. And I think you identified here that even though this was a closer fight than we expected, he still was the rightful winner, recovered well from the flash knockdown, and did a lot of things that we like. But from the very beginning, maybe because I'm a Shakur Stevenson super fan from the idea that I think, you know, his time at number one pound for pound is coming. I think he's the best in class of these young princes that we have going, despite being booed out of his home arena and having back-to-back fights where he was completely booed. I always was of the belief that when Shakur gets in there against Zepeda, it will be actually one-sided. It will be, you know, not Mayweather Gotti one-sided, but it will be the kind of thing where we come in thinking, how about this for a comparison? Adrian Broner versus Antonio DeMarco, where it was like the showdown, the class of 135, 10 years ago, and Broner went in there and put on the best performance of his career. And, I think it's going to play out like that. I think Zepeda is very good, but I don't think he's going to be able to deal with the elite speed, the fact that Shakur can stand so close to him like Farmer did and just be able to counter so cleanly. I think he's going to absolutely pick him apart no matter what. But I also think that's the right next fight for both. And I don't think this performance dissuades me from that.
Right. Look, that I think I'm in a very similar place. Like, if you think that, that Zepeda will never be, that Zepeda is not ready for Shakur Stevenson, newsflash, he ain't never going to be ready for Shakur Stevenson. Or to put it a little more generously, he is as ready as he's ever going to be. And you might as well give him that fight now when he's full of confidence, when he's young, or whatever, when he's not getting any younger. And before someone else gets to him, because he's fighters like that burn out fast, right? He's a pressure fighter. He'll take one to land three or to just throw three. And he's going to fight like that against anyone. And he's going to just keep accumulating damage that eventually we're going to see him fall apart like Brandon Rios someday. Now, I don't think that is necessarily anytime soon, but just like there is the clock runs a little faster on these pressure fighters who get in, who are all action all the time. And you might as well let him take that shot while he's fresh and confident and not, and doesn't question his chin at all. And will go in there and do everything he can to press, Shakur and rattle him and see if all of that pressure can actually get to him. I wouldn't bet on him to succeed, but I think he'd have his best shot at it so far. And one thing, I mean, with Stevenson, one thing he'll do differently from Farmer is, Farmer is, he's elusive, but not as much with his legs. He stands in that wide stance, counters, and is really good at, swiveling, head movement, upper body movement to avoid fights. But it ends up being a little bit like a different Adrian Broner fight, Broner Maidana, where, Broner is very effective too, countering, swiveling, but he's got a wide stance, doesn't move a whole lot in the ring. And the amount of pressure that a Maidana put on him, that Zepeda put on Farmer, eventually favors the pressure fighter. Shakur will make him miss a lot more and will counter effectively when it's there. But at the same time, he's going to put, like, we've seen lots of fighters try and put pressure on Shakur Stevenson. None have ever looked even sort of remotely effective. Zepeda is such a busy and I think, impressive pressure fighter that I would still want to see that style. Go in and try that style because, I think that he'll give Shakur more trouble than, Jopit Gonzalez and, the guy with the girlfriend.
Joette, yeah.
Joette, yeah.
I beat Joette. I took his girl and his side piece. Yeah, all right. Interesting stuff. By the way, do you know Mike Tyson landed more punches over 8 rounds against Jake Paul at 18 than Edwin De Los Santos did in that fight with Shakur, where they both got booed out of Newark. That was interesting. I will say this about our boy Tevin Farmer now. He's 0 for 2 this year. He had a similar fight with Raymond Muratalla earlier this year where he pushed it close over 10 rounds, lost a competitive decision. He deserves the fight after this. He deserves another payday, another opportunity against a young up-and-comer in a decently big spot. Much respect to the veteran. All seriousness, much respect.
Amen. I thought he was really impressive.
Yeah, no doubt about it. All right, before we get into whether you care this weekend, I have a little game for you. I have in front of me on Twitter. You follow Michael Benson, the guy who takes everybody's content from England and puts it out there. So this weekend, Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson became the 10th biggest gate in U.S. combat sports history at 18.1 million. There's only one skinhead card on the top 10, and that would be number 6. It's the UFC's Sphere card from September, Noche, which did 22 million with those insane ticket prices. Can you name the other 8 in the top 10 of biggest combat sports gates in U.S. history?
You talking to this man like I'm Eric Raskin or Kieran, like one of these people who cares about this shit. But let's give it a try. Okay, so Maymac.
Maymac would be the second.
Maymac.
Okay, number 1 is Maypac at 72.2 million, which is insane. Number 2, Maymac, 55.4 million. You are correct.
Okay. What is Canelo Golovkin 1?
That's number 3 on the list. That's the 3rd biggest gate in U.S. history for combat sports, 27.1 million.
Yeah, because you can just what are the most recent big fights, between that involved, one of 3 names, because shit is so expensive.
That's true. The oldest fight on this list, there's one from 07 and one from 13, and all the other ones are
Oscar and Floyd.
Okay, Oscar and Floyd is number 9 at 19 million.
And you said one from 13 with 13 Floyd and Cotto?
Incorrect. Okay. Not on the list. All and
right.
That was also 2012.
1 year off, not bad. So Floyd in jail, was Floyd come back? Floyd Canelo.
There you go. That is number 8 at 20 million. So it would seem to me that you need 4, 5, 6. I'm sorry, 4, 5, and 7.
Oh, Canelo Golovkin 2.
Yes, that's number 4 at 23.5 million.
We'll just go back in time with Canelo fights.
You need number.
How about 5, Canelo?
So number 5 and 7 do not involve Floyd, Manny, Oscar, or Canelo.
Oh, no kidding. And they're boxing fights. Oh, Wilder Fury 2.
Incorrect, but a very good guess.
Wilder Fury 3.
Both of these fights happened in 23.
Last year? Oh, I wasn't watching boxing then. Gervonta and Ryan Garcia.
There you go. That is number 5 at 22.8. And number 7 is
Bud and Spence.
There you go. 21 million. Dude, you kind of did it. You only had like 2 wrong. You pretty much nailed this. All right?
Well, you don't have to be a rocket scientist.
A few hints along the way. All right, let's get into this weekend and the whole concept of does Rafe Boogs care about the box that's coming his way. Rafe, if you thought 58-year-old Mike Tyson was a potential issue or a farce, let me direct you to what's going on tonight, Tuesday, November 19th in Nashville. How up are you on this thing that they do called Country Box, where Mark Abrams of Philadelphia, our favorite guy, on play-by-play, Albert Hainsworth of the NFL on color, and they alternate boxing matches with a live country concert. Are you aware of this?
No.
Do you care?
I mean, who's playing at the concert?
Okay, I don't know who's playing at the concert. The main event is Elton DeJesus against Dominic Griffin, 8 rounds junior featherweights.
Do they stack the card with Jason Litzau types?
More like Showbox cast-off types.
Trevor McCumbee types.
Like Sean Hemphill's on here. He was in a big Showbox war against David Stevens a couple years ago. But how about this co-main event? 59-year-old Oliver McCall, the former heavyweight champion of the world who knocked out Lennox Lewis with a flash punch.
That's not exactly the thing I most remember him for.
Yes, he also melted down in the ring and didn't fight again until 3 years ago when he made a comeback, or 5 years ago. He's in there against 45-year-old Stacey Frazier. I'm sorry, 53-year-old Stacey Frazier in a 4-round heavyweight bout that will set the record, for whatever it's worth, of the oldest former heavyweight champion having an official fight when 59-year-old McCall takes on 53-year-old Stacey Frazier.
Well,
Is this sadder, in your opinion, than that Razor Ruddock exhibition that they did in Jamaica with James Toney or whoever else it was last year?
I didn't see that. It's pretty sad. I mean, this is a good reminder for all of us who are losing our minds over, Mike Tyson and Jake Paul, that boxing does more disgusting shit on a weekly basis, and no one cares. No one is bothered. Life goes on except for the fighters.
All right, let's go to Friday in Atlanta on DAZN. Brandon the Cannon Adams, former Contender winner, takes on
money on that guy.
Andreas Katsurakis, 10 rounds junior middleweights. Do you care?
Wait, where is this happening?
Atlanta. I think it might be one of those DAZN like prospect series cards. I don't really know.
No, I don't care, man.
Okay, Saturday.
Man, you should have told me that you could see the instant noodles over my shoulder, man. What the fuck?
The ramen? You rocking ramen back there?
You see that down my little garbage corner?
Oh, rocking ramen. Yeah, I like that a lot. Let's go. Let's keep it going. I don't know if you're going to care much this weekend.
Probably
Saturday, off TV in Philadelphia, Jesse Hart takes on Ricardo Luna in an 8-round light heavyweight bout. And remind you that Hart was rumored to be fighting Benavidez. Luckily, that's not happened.
Luckily, it's not. I don't know. I mean, everyone likes Jesse Hart. Yeah, kind of a tough luck fighter. Also, he's sort of topped out. But he knows he knows how to handle himself in the ring.
He does.
Someone will make an opponent again. He'll make a little more money.
He was the captain of the Philadelphia Smoke team that won the Team Combat League championship this year. I know because I called that in the Commerce Casino in East LA out there. Let's go to Saturday in Newcastle, England. Harlem Eubank is back in a 10 or 12 round welterweight bout, your choice, against Nuril Erdogan. Are you in on Harlem Eubank?
Nuril?
Probably.
Okay. No, I'm not in on that.
Okay. This is getting sadder and sadder.
Is it Eubank, another Eubank versus Turk match?
Probably.
Oh my God. You said, what was the guy's last name?
I have a fight with a Turk. Nurali Erdogan.
Well, if it's like the president of Turkey, whose name is Erdogan, that would
Avni Yildirim.
Yes. Yeah. Well, anyway, basically, I just reminding me of that great press conference where Yildirim's manager went after someone on Team Eubank. Is like, I fuck your wife in the bed.
I fuck he up. Yeah. Who neck? Let's go to Saturday off TV in Atlanta. Femke Hermans against O'Shea Jones, 10 rounds female junior middleweight.
Yeah, I loved her in the X-Men.
Okay.
Great, right?
Sunday in Heidelberg, Germany, in the co-main, Sumair Yamanaka will defend her IBF women's atomweight title against Fabiana.
Sure, is that the animal title?
Yeah, the animals. The main event is for the European heavyweight title, but I can't pronounce any of the names. Yeah, you have a right not to care this weekend. All right, there you go. There it is. That is the box. That's all the box that would fit and print this week.
I need the time to rewatch, the Tyson-Paul card.
Yeah, I need more ass cheek time. What would you say about where we're at in boxing as we close 2024 with Usyk Fury 2 in December, Benavidez Morel on the calendar, but not much else going on besides Tommy Fury taking on skinhead Darren Till on January 18th on DAZN.
That last one is not one of the highlights circled on my upcoming schedule, but I know you'll be watching. Yeah, look, I mean, Usyk Fury 2, that's good enough for me. I mean, that's okay. Like, that's the first fight was incredible. Watching Usyk do what he does at that weight against, fighter as skilled and enormous as Tyson Fury. And to see, just to see him try and do it again, it's such a huge risk to take. That's the shit we watch the sport for. That's why we accept the existence of Jake Paul in our sport, is because it can also produce things like Usyk Fury and Usyk Fury 2.
Now, what happens if we don't care about this weekend and nothing happens of note? Do we still pod next week? I mean, we did sell Wolf tickets to a Friday night podcast that I gadooshed when Tyson showed his ass. You know what I mean?
Well, what are you gonna do? I mean, no one's paying for that the same way no one's paying extra money for their Netflix.
All right. Well, I guess we'll play it by ear,
I'm
right?
around. I love to shoot the shit.
I like shooting shit. Yeah. It would be great. I had something else to ask you, I think.
Mm.
All right. Speaking of women's boxing, did you fall for the WNBA and women's college basketball like many a man did in the past calendar year? I mean, I got to tell you here, I'm not campaigning. I'm just letting you know that I watched the WNBA finals this year and they were awesome.
I didn't watch it, but no, I don't know, Brian. Like I look, let me be honest. I don't watch a whole lot of NBA basketball either. I get my ass to the gym and get some shots up in the morning most days, but I don't know, man. I don't know how people feel like they got time to watch anything anymore.
Okay.
The whole world, man. What is happening? Where it's like that guy, that Brazilian guy in the Mayweather gym during COVID. It's like it's danger. Danger. I don't
Let
know.
me ask you this then. Let me spin off and go this way. So you and I have been podding since the beginning, podcasting. We may do it forever. But we've been influenced by great podcasts through the years. One of them, of course, would be Eric Raskin and newfound New Jersey Boxing Hall of Famer William Detloff of Ring
That's
Theory.
awesome. Congrats, Detloff. Is that for real?
That was over the weekend. Yeah. Raskin went to it, and shout out to Detloff in that regard. Not a small thing for his great career as a writer. He was an amateur boxer before that, and as an author now of many a good boxing book. But I was influenced.
If you think I'm a negative asshole, man, you need to hear Will. Like he's the OG.
I don't lie. I patterned a lot of my podcasting hopes off of the comedic stylings that those guys put out there. So I always respect the OGs.
I don't really give anyone credit for any, I just come on and do my thing. But
that's it. You don't care.
I did listen. I love their podcast, but it's not like I show up here. I got to be like Detloff today.
Well, I don't mean it like that. I mean, but they were an influence in a lot of ways of like, oh, this is awesome. This is the way it should be done. One other podcast I used to love, it changed names a lot, but it involved the Beard, Patrick Connor, and the Folinator, James Foley. Did you know that James Foley, like you, is considering not making a comeback, I don't think, to become a full-time boxing podcaster, because he's got a lot going on selling what does he sell in the Midwest? Corn?
Commodities. I don't know.
Commodities, right? But that man said he's willing to come out of retirement and come back on a Brian Campbell Experience show.
That would be great. I would love to see that. But more importantly, shout out to young Jude Foley, Polo's son, who got a shout out on a Houston Rockets broadcast.
That was amazing. In fact, we should have Foley on and play that great moment of him and his son. Do you think Foley
will tear up like Lampley? He will tear up like
he will.
He did the grays in the beard. He was not really ready to be on TV, but that's okay.
He was post prime Foley, but one of the good ones in this game. So shout out,
clean him up, taking to Atlantic City, and he'll be back in the mix, baby.
Shout out to James Foley, who did accompany you and I at the Sergei Kovalev. Oh wait, you didn't?
I jacked on that. I was at the fight, but I bounced. I got I had a ride back to New York, and I was like, peace.
Yeah, so me, Foley, and James Bag Jr.
Adam Abramowitz. I've heard the stories.
Yeah, we went to the Sergei Kovalev post-fight party after he beat Hopkins, and there were some Russian tough guys there. There were
I've been to some Kovalev events in my day, and he rolls deep.
Yeah, he did. It was interesting. But yeah, so that was good for me to hear that Foley, he's got opinions. This guy's a good guy in this game. But you're like, fuck him, whatever.
Yeah. I love Foley. I will listen. I will download and listen to that podcast.
Maybe you'll talk to him too, though. Maybe.
He's trying to do it. Look, man, it's like Dwyer. I talk to you on podcasts and you alone.
Okay, if I bring Dwyer in here, you're out of here. That's what you're saying.
Don't bring nobody else in our space, all right?
All right, don't keep the marriage bed pure.
And keep that cat out of my face too.
Were you more upset seeing Reggie Jackson's butthole or Mike Tyson's? That's really the question, because this podcast produced both. Really,
I've seen many a cat butthole, but not too many of Mike Tyson's. So
I know you have Bear the dog, and he's awesome. Would you consider cats in your
I love
current
cats. I grew up with cats. Again, I blame everything on my wife. This mustache, my station in life, the sad state of my career, and she also is allergic to cats. So I don't think I'll be getting one again. She
Oh,
loves it, but
she's killing
she watches
me.
so much cat videos on Instagram that she's like, we should get a cat. I was like, I'm gonna have to like pump you full of Claritin, like you're. I don't know, like I can get like Victor Conte to make a designer
snack.
a designer PED for you. And
Get you on that snack like
yeah,
Robert Guerrero. Yeah. By
turn
the
you
way, are
into a
you up
snack.
on Robert Guerrero? I think it's
CrossFit? Yes.
the third. His son is now a pro boxer. Are you up on and trained by Ruben, the grandpa?
Look, anytime we get Ruben Guerrero in the mix, I'm down, man. That hat is classic.
I feel like if you and I don't keep alive the jokes that made boxing Twitter in 2012, 13, and 14 so fun, that no one will ever joke about this stuff again.
That's the problem with the kids. We losing the recipes, Brian.
Well, I was hoping you were going to go there. The fact that you did instantly was just great. Yeah, we are losing the recipes. All right, that's it for the box this week. Rafe, they should follow you at Rafe Bugs on socials. They should even consider going on Amazon and buying your books.
The Amazon. I think there's that thing called Bookshop that authors try and pump, but man, who cares? Oh, I know, Brian. Are you going on Blue Sky with the rest of these bitch ass motherfuckers? Yeah, fuck that.
I want
I hate my life on Twitter, and I'm sticking with it.
Yes, thank you. Yes, Twitter's always been a cesspool.
You think I want to start? You think I want to start this nonsense? Like I'm 42 goddamn years old.
Yes, you are.
Might as well listen to some Miley Cyrus or some shit. I don't care. Blue Sky, come follow me on Blue. Kiss my ass.
Wow, buy this man's books.
I don't care. Like what the fuck? I don't participate in conversations on Twitter anymore either.
Yeah, you're right.
I just scroll shit and be like, man, this sucks.
Dude, I love how old you are. It's my favorite part about you. You have this like bare bones old guy way to look at the world, and I respect that.
John Fury, baby. John Fury. Mike
I got
Tyson,
this 10-pound mobile phone.
No Google mapping for me. Don't you dare show me a Google map.
All right. So they can catch you on the internet. How about that? I can't believe that I go podcast every Monday. Like what, a block from where you grew up?
Down I think like maybe, I don't know, where's that? Is it in the Disney store? No.
So I'm on Varick Street, near the cross streets of like Carmine, and I'm like 2 blocks. Do you know where the Ironworks is?
What's the Ironworks? I
think it's where I went to some DAZN launch party back in
like there wasn't none of that shit around there.
All right, you know where the Tony Dapolito, Bob Dapolito.
Oh yeah, Carmine.
So I'm like 2 blocks from there.
So yeah, that would be, depending in which direction that is,
toward south. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Then, well, what's the cross street? Is it King Charlton?
Yeah, Charlton, I think.
I was born and raised in Charlton Street.
Oh wow! Shout out. What is that section called?
It used to just be called like Greenwich Village, but because it's like the southwest corner of Greenwich Village, and it has the zip code. Well, yeah. Anyway, so the West Village, and then now they've changed it to Hudson Square.
Okay, so
that's the real estate thing, but
like
it changed like 15 times over my life. It was Sovilka for a minute. I mean, real estate will come in and try and call it whatever.
I get off on the Houston Street subway stop. That's near your surroundings.
That's. I mean, that was one. I would either if I was going to if I was riding the train uptown to go to school and taking the crosstown bus, I would take.
You went to Max Kellerman's Fame High School.
Get up there. There's not the Fame High School. It's a different high school.
Yeah, I always used to hit you with that joke. Yeah. All right. So did you grow up getting great pizza from Bleecker Street, or you don't give a damn about
what, Joe's? Hell yeah.
All right, great.
Oh, you're talking about John's or Joe's?
All of them.
Both, but like Joe's was the one that I preferred.
The locals, the hardcores, yeah.
Well, I mean, John's is great too, but you got to go sit down. It's not, it's
we don't have time
a whole
for
different
that.
experience. Yeah.
And who's Judy Z? She's there's all these trucks outside. She's trying to sell her dips and her sauces.
You're talking about the food trucks?
Yeah.
I don't know, man. That again, all this shit wasn't there when I was young.
Yeah, I missed those days. Maybe one day. My dream one day is to podcast from inside McSorley's. Would they throw me out?
No, not necessarily. Depends on when. Depends on whether you might want to ask somebody first.
But I can like pull regulars in and be like, tell me about the days when women weren't allowed in here.
If you could still find any, sure.
All right, Rafe. It was a great time, putting our hands in that box together.
That's what we do. We like to get deep in there.
Yeah, all right. That's all I got for today. Thank you for your time, Rafe, and for your people. Keep watching the box, and it's always going to be full of shit. That's the truth. That's what it is. All right.
Boxing is full of shit, man.
I used to love this sport. We are out. Yeah. Yeah.